In my blog last week, I talked about how we were entering the dark side of the moon phase. That point where you go into no communications, you go underground, and you just kind of ride it out and hope you come out the other side better for it. I use that kind of analogy because we were at the point where we were working on contracts, we were sorting out agreements, we were getting into legal stuff, all the stuff you can't talk about and share publicly until it's all finalized and locked into place. Sometimes you don't always make it out the other end of the moon. Sometimes shit happens and you have to regroup, you have to take a step back, you have to come back and prepare for another attempt to make it around the backside of the moon. And that's what kind of happened this time. The biggest reason is our timeline. We couldn't find a charity that was ready to move as quickly as we needed to do a summer solstice soiree on June 21st. The reason that this timeline kind of came into place is because we wanted to give away a seat to the World Series of Poker as our grand prize for the event, the poker event, charity event we wanted to put together. But we also found out that the World Series of Poker, the main event, starts July 5th of this year. So it would have been one of those things where it would have been perfect for the winner. And 2 weeks later, they had a trip to Vegas. They could have been playing in the seat. It would have been like one of the last poker satellites around for people to get into the World Series for only a couple $100. But that meant the event had to happen before July. And with getting sponsorships together, selling tickets, planning the event, getting vendors, things needed to start happening right away so we could go public, start promoting it, getting advertising and all of these things working. For that to happen, contracts have to be in place. But when there's no money up front, or we need to raise the money together and things like that, because even doing a fundraising event, you need operating costs to run the event. It always comes down to money. People panic. How are we going to get the money right away? How's this going to happen? What if this doesn't happen? And you start to see the character of people, and when people start wanting you to get into third-party agreements with vendors and everything else before they'll get into an agreement with you to help with an event or with those third-party agreements, that's a big red flag. It's mistakes we've made in the past, figuring if we took on all the responsibility and all the risk, that it would make it easier for everybody else, and really, when you don't have skin in the game, it makes it much easier for you to get scared, panic, pull away, and kind of get nervous. When there's no money, it gets really easy to get nervous in this town, and you got to start over. You want to talk about money? We're a month and a half behind on the rent and doing everything we can just to survive ourselves. So also finding the money to pull off the event and everything is an added burden and a stress that's much easier when shared with a group. So if we have to take the risk and put the third-party vendors on the line by ourselves, then it's just not the right time. We can't afford to take on those kind of risks anymore. We've been doing whatever we can to hustle and survive and keep a roof over our head while we put all these plans and packages together. Audience work, focus groups, surveys, freelance work, pushing brooms, whatever we can get. And one of those things recently I did was a focus group that paid us in a gift card. And gift cards you can't turn into cash to pay the rent. So what I used part of the gift card was pay a couple of our utility bills, things like that, and I saved $30 to throw on the Bovada poker site that Andrea uses for free rolls as her form of stress relief. A few months back, around October, November, we were running on fumes as the holidays were approaching, and the only way we survived was with a Hail Mary $20 deposit on a poker site, and we rolled that into a couple $1,000s that covered our rent for a few months. And we're at that position again where we've got to gamble on ourselves. And really for the last 6 years, that's what we've done every single day, is gamble on ourselves. Sometimes we win for a few months. Sometimes we lose and have setbacks, and we have to regroup and work our asses off to have something to lay on the line again. And that's every day for the last 6 years. And I don't know if because of that, or in spite of all of that, or just to add one more thing to the equation, there's something inside of me that keeps telling me that I need to do stand-up comedy at some point. I feel like it's one of those things that I would take to as a bird to flight if I can get over the nervousness of speaking to people and people looking at me and not knowing when to stop and let something sink in. But I've been working on material recently. I've been writing a lot. I've been taking a lot of notes, and the therapy aspect of stand-up comedy, I think, is what's really drawing me to it. I've kind of made a internal promise to myself that by the time I turn 40, I'm going to find a way to get up on a stage somewhere and see what happens. But that's really where we're at right now, up to the moment, and pulling no punches. We'll continue to keep you guys updated as things develop. It might be touch and go because, you guys don't want to hear the depressing stuff all the time, and you don't want to hear the 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 boring stuff and all of that. So I don't want to waste time with stuff that doesn't have any meat to it or doesn't have any content or information in it. So sometimes we have lulls. We have down cycles where we just don't have the positive attitude to put something together on that day, and publicly share the roller coaster. We do our best, and every day is a new day.